Caravan towing comparison between the Ford Ranger-Wildtrak V6 versus Isuzu D-Max X-Terrain. We have the Ford Ranger-Wildtrak V6 4x4 double cab UTA, which costs more but arguably offers more, and we're putting it against the impressive, great value Isuzu D-Max X-Terrain 4x4 dual cab. Which way you decide to spend your $70,000 will come down to what you get for your money, and what sort of tow truck you're after for caravan towing. Is it all about the engine? We know they both have identical towing capacity, so we strapped on the towing mirrors to find out, of these two, which is the best UTA for towing a caravan. Pricing and specs. The most affordable one here is the Isuzu D-Max X-Terrain, which has a list price of $67,500, all prices listed are MSRP/before on-road costs. The Ford Ranger-Wildtrak V6 has a list price of $70,190. If you want to save some dosh, you can opt for it as a bi-turbo 4-cylinder, but we wanted to test the V6. Because of course we did. Okay, now it's time to consider what each of these utes has as standard. Let's look at the multimedia/infotainment situation for each UTA first. Interior next, which offers the best in-car stuff to tick the boxes for family car/dual-purpose UTA buyers. Worth noting that neither model has a heated steering wheel or cooled/ventilated front seats, the sorts of things you find on plenty of SUVs for less than $70,000. Pretty close otherwise, though. Now, what about the outside? Here is a list of some of the visual differentiators. You have to spend a little more to get into the Ranger-Wildtrak, but even if you opt for the cheaper 4-cylinder model, you're getting a better deal dollar for dollar than what the Isuzu offers you, all things considered. The fact you score all-terrain tires from the showroom floor, plus a surround view camera, electric cargo blind, and additional USB ports, all make the Ford stand out as a better buy for value based on current pricing. Remember, the D-Max X-Terrain was considerably cheaper when it initially went on sale, but that advantage is well and truly gone. Dimensions and weights. This isn't a UTA towing capacity comparison, because both of these vehicles offer up the same maximum towing ratings: 750 kilograms for an unbraked trailer and 3,500 kilograms for a braked trailer. There's more to it, though. You need to consider other information and specs, and we have a few tables below that will help you. First up, consider the difference in physical dimensions between these two utes. As you can see, the Ranger is bigger in every aspect, and most importantly, has a longer wheelbase and broader track that should, in theory, make it feel more sure-footed on the road. Again, the Ranger offers more of everything, and its broader space between the wheelhouses means you can fit a standard Aussie pallet in the tub, 1,165mm x 1,165mm, while an IBC will also fit in either way, 1,200mm x 1,000mm. So if you're using your UTA to haul work gear or as a delivery vehicle, that could be a big deal. Again, the Ranger offers bigger numbers in all aspects. To anyone who knows about towing, the heavier the vehicle is, the less it'll be pushed around by the trailer. But you need to also remember that with those payload figures, your human capacity is also included, it's not just for the tub. So, say you have a maximum 3,500 kilograms trailer on the back, and you've got yourself, your partner, 2 kids and a fortnight's worth of equipment, that's going to be damned close to the maximum combined mass you're allowed to have. Always check your weights if you're not sure, because there are severe legal ramifications beyond just towing problems. Now, our test didn't involve any off-road towing, but if you're considering taking your UTA away with something like an all-terrain van or camper trailer, here are some of the important off-road specs you'll want to know: ground clearance approach angle, departure angle, breakover/ramp over angle. Pretty clear from the above that these two are closely matched and similarly hamstrung in particular ways that you'll find out about when you head off the highway, and possibly to a greater degree than could be fixed with just a suspension upgrade. Check out our adventure guide for more. Interior and practicality. These two offer very different looks and feels when it comes to the cabin presentation and finishes. The cabin in the Ranger looks and feels very similar to the last Wildtrak in a few ways, the standouts being the embroidered seats, orange stitching all over the place and dark headlining, but aside from that, it's a pretty different place to the last model. And very different to the Isuzu, too. The big difference is the way the dashboard is laid out. The huge 12.0-inch portrait display touchscreen dominates the space, with a wow factor to it that helps make the cabin of the Ranger instantly feel newer and more high-tech than the Isuzu. There's more to it than just the screen though. There's some clever software that helps make the Ford a smarter OODA overall. Things like the trailer hookup helper, it'll do a lights/blinkers test for you, which is excellent if you're traveling alone. And the integrated brake controller position is good too. The lever sits up above your left knee if you're in the driver's seat. There's also a fully digital instrument cluster for the Ranger, which aids in the tech-oriented feel. Thank goodness Ford has added knobs and dials below for fan and stereo controls, because if the touchscreen were the only way to interact with those elements, it would have been a real problem. The screens take some getting used to, and so does the gear selector. I struggled with it. And I also found the door handles a bit dumb. They're pull levers inside the armrest, rather than actual handles. The Isuzu's cabin feels dated, comparatively. It's not just the smaller 9.0-inch media screen and part digital dashboard, it's the feel of the cabin, too. There's not as much wow factor, despite some contrast stitching elements. It doesn't feel as special inside as the exterior makes it feel like it should, where the Ford, especially when finished in the boring silver paint, delivers more inside than out. That said, the controls are simple enough to get to grips with in the Isuzu, with the higher-up, landscape-style screen actually offering better ease of use in some ways. But the Isuzu's software is no match for the Ford, being a bit slower to load, less intuitive to jump between menus, and the screen's actual clarity isn't even close to the Ford. Both have inbuilt Sat-in AV, and both offer Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for smartphone mirroring tech. What if you couldn't care less about screens, and prefer to know about usability of the space? Well, both have clever storage elements like pop-out cup holders at the ends of the dashboard, bottle spots in the doors, covered center console bins, cup holders between the seats and more. But the Ranger has a better glove box, dual layer. The story of the back seats is very similar. There is enough space for someone my size, 182 cm/6 foot 0 inch tall, to fit in behind my own driving position, with enough knee room and toe room, and just enough headroom and shoulder space, too. 3 of me across the back would be a squeeze. If you're a family looking to go touring, you should note that both have window seat isofix and top tether points. Fitting a child seat in these utes is notoriously painful, and you might be left feeling like you haven't got enough tension on the top tether strap, which can be unsettling. Thankfully, both utes have rear seat directional air vents and rear USB ports to keep occupants charged up. The D-Max has a clever bag hook on the back of the passenger seat, too.